Thank you very much, Annette, for joining this call. I'm very happy of doing a little short interview of you to get to know a little bit your career expertise and what you want to do in your life. So let's start with the basics. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yes, thank you for taking the time to interview with me today. My name is Annette Lam. I am a LLB graduate from the University of Bristol, and I'm currently pursuing my postgraduate certificate in laws at the City University of Hong Kong. I'm aiming to start my training contract in 2026. And back in the 2023 to 24 academic year, I had the opportunity to serve as a campus ambassador for Ravenscroft Schmierer during my second year at Bristol.
Well, that's pretty great. And how did you first come across the campus ambassador role, and what will be the motivation for you to apply?
Yes, so I was actually approached directly by on LinkedIn by the firm's CFO, Mr. Jan Patrick Raymond, which felt like a really exciting opportunity for me. It wasn't something that I had expected, and the fact that it came through LinkedIn made me realize how powerful the platform is. I was interested straight away because I wanted to expand my network with other law students at my university, and I thought this role would push me to refine how I present myself professionally online, and that's something that's really important in the legal field. At the same time, I was really curious on how firms, think about business development. The campus ambassador role seemed like the perfect way for me to get a glimpse of the side of this side of things. For example, learning how to promote the firm while also connecting with other law students in a way that felt really genuine. For me, it wasn't just about the title. It was more about gaining experience that would help me to build confidence, strengthen my communication skills, and to understand how law firms engage with future legal professionals.
Well, you covered the question pretty well here. So once you were on board, what did your responsibility as a campus ambassador involved? Oh,
Right. Yes, thank you for your question. The role was actually really varied, which made it both challenging and rewarding. My main responsibility was to act as a bridge between the firm and law students at Bristol. That meant putting together LinkedIn and Instagram posts to highlight opportunities and also representing the firm at career and law fairs. I was also the first point of contact for law students who had questions, so I had to make sure I could respond to them promptly and clearly. On top of that, I also worked with other campus ambassadors to organize application workshops, such as Q&A sessions and deals that the firm is working on, which were really great for helping students feel more confident about the whole recruitment process. I also teamed up with the firm's marketing manager to host online webinars where partners and associates shared their career journeys and insights into their work.
mhm.
I think those sessions were especially rewarding because they gave students direct access to the members of the firm, and I also got to see how much impact those conversations had. So I think overall, the role gave me the chance to try a lot of different things, ranging from content creation to event planning. So it really helped me to grow professionally and personally.
Well, I would say that sounds quite a lot of to manage, and it's quite impressive to do that during your studies. But talking of it, so like, how did you manage to balance this responsibility alongside to your academic work?
Right. So I think at the beginning, it really feel like a juggling act. I was trying to balance my academic workload with the responsibilities of being a campus ambassador. And at times, it seemed like there weren't enough hours in a day, really. So what helped me most was to learning to break everything down into smaller, manageable steps and setting myself deadlines that I knew I could realistically meet. I think that way I wasn't overwhelmed by the bigger picture. Instead, I could just focus on one piece at a time. A really good example of this was when I organized an online webinar with the Asian Law Student Society Association. There were a lot of moving parts. So, for example, coordinating with panelists to confirm their availability, preparing slides that looked professional but also easy to follow, sending out invitations to students, and then managing the event itself on the day. So all of this was happening alongside with my coursework. So I had to be really disciplined about planning ahead and prioritizing my tasks based on urgency. I found that setting clear goals for each stage, for example, finishing the slides by a certain date or sending invitations a week in advance, made the whole process less stressful. It also meant that I could give proper attention to my studies without feeling that I was neglecting my campus ambassador duties. So over time, I developed a rhythm that allowed me to balance both sides more smoothly, and I also became more confident in my ability to manage multiple responsibilities. So I realized that with the right structure, I could maintain high standards in both my academic work and my role at the firm.
Well, it seems like you were very organized, and it's quite like impressive. Speaking of the webinars, like, can you share a little bit about what that entailed and what you learned from it?
Yes, of course. So that was probably one of my biggest highlights of my time as a campus ambassador. It was my first large-scale event that I coordinated, which
Mm.
taught me a lot of organization and foresight. I drafted proposals, prepared guided questions, and promoted the event across LinkedIn and university networks. We had 42 students sign up, which was a really great outcome. I also learned how important testing the technical setup was. So we did a full run through on Teams to make sure that the breakout rooms and Q&A sessions would run smoothly. So overall, I think this experience reinforced how effective planning and communication can make the whole event more seamless.
Well, I would say that's very nice that you mentioned about communication. So how would has the role helped you to develop communication skills?
Yes, I would say communication was really at the heart of my role. As a campus ambassador, I often thought that students I interacted with as mini clients. So they came to me with questions, concern, or curiosity about the firm, and it was my responsibility to guide them, provide them with clear answers, and sometimes even help them to polish their LinkedIn profile so they could present themselves more professionally. I also had to explain the firm's opportunities in a way that was accessible and relevant to them, which meant I couldn't just repeat information, but I had to make sure that it was connected with their individual goals and aspirations. What I found most important was being clear, approachable, and responsive. I think students needed to feel that they could trust me, and that trust only came when I showed consistency in how I communicated. That's something I see as directly transferable to the legal practice, where clients rely on lawyers not just for expertise, but for clarity and reassurance. Another big lesson that I learned was how to tailor advice. So no two students were the same, right? Some wanted to help with applications, other were more interested in networking, and some just wanted to understand what life at the firm looked like. So I really had to listen carefully and adjust my advice so that it wasn't generic, but instead practical and personal to their individual applications. I think over time, these interactions grew into really genuine connections. It wasn't about just me representing the firm, but it became building relationships that were mutually beneficial. Student gained insights and support, while I gained in communication, empathy, and relationship building. These skills that go far beyond the role itself, and I think they will stay with me throughout my professional journey.
All right, but that's very insightful, and I like the way you call your the students like your mini clients. It's quite interesting how to call it like this, but that's great. And beyond communication, what other skills do you feel you gained during your time as a campus ambassador?
Right. So I do think organization and time management skills were probably the next big ones I developed through the role. At certain points, I was balancing so many different commitments, my academic work, student advisory responsibilities like the law clinic, writing for a legal blog where I was a president, and then these various tasks also came with being a campus ambassador. So it quickly became clear that if I didn't learn how to prioritize and structure my time, I would end up being very overwhelmed. So, what helped me was really breaking down larger projects into smaller and more manageable steps. Instead of seeing something like prepare for a webinar as a one huge task, I learned how to split it into pieces. So, drafting, for example, drafting the agenda, confirming speakers, preparing slides, sending invitations, and then managing the event itself. So I really think setting deadlines for each stage gave me a sense of progress and kept me really on track. Of course, things didn't always, go to plan. Unexpected tasks would pop up, whether it was a last-minute student inquiry or a sudden change in my coursework schedule. So I also had to get comfortable with adjusting my plans without losing the momentum. That flexibility was just as important as the structure because it meant that I could adapt while still meeting with my current commitments. I think looking back, those skills were really incredibly valuable. In law, you're constantly managing, multiple cases, deadlines, and client needs at the same time. So really learning how to prioritize, stay organized, and keep calm under pressure during my time as a campus ambassador gave me a taste of what the reality looks like. And I think that's something that I would carry on forward on my career.
Yeah, that sounds good. Like knowing everything you have to do as a campus ambassador, then what would you believe would be the most rewarding aspect of the role?
I think for me, the most rewarding part was to genuinely make an impact on other students' careers, whether it was hosting webinars, guiding them through applications, or even sharing small LinkedIn tips. I could see the difference it made when students engaged, learned something new, and applied successfully. I think watching their confidence grow and knowing I had played a part was really incredibly fulfilling. I also really valued the chance to contribute my ideas to the firm's initiatives. So it wasn't just about carrying tasks that were handed to me. I was able to provide input and shape how certain events or outreach activities were run. That really gave me a sense of ownership and showed me that the firm trusted campus ambassadors to represent them thoughtfully. What stood out most on how much this experience reinforced the idea that in law and in professional life more broadly, your efforts can really have a real impact on others while helping you grow yourself. By supporting students, I was developing my own skills in communication, organization, and leadership. It really felt like a two-way process. So I was helping others to take step forward in their career while at the same time I was building foundations for my own.
And how did you feel then the firm supported you on the role?
The firm was very supportive throughout my experience as a campus ambassador. I had direct access to partners and associates for guidance, which was really invaluable when preparing for events and workshops. The marketing manager was also always available to advise on communication strategies, and the leadership really encouraged me to share my insights about student needs. I think that level of support made me feel that more collaborative rather than just operational, which I really appreciated.
Well, it's good to know that the former marketing manager was there, like to help you on giving advice. Because now I'm here, and I hope I will do as good job as him.
Yeah.
And then for students considering a similar role, then what advice would actually give to them?
Right. I think the key is to really be proactive. So before you even apply, taking the time to research the firm thoroughly, explore their website, watch any YouTube videos that they've produced, or look at their social media presence like LinkedIn. I think that way you will get a genuine sense of their work, their values, and their culture. So when you go into an application or an interview, you can show that you've done your homework and your interest isn't just service level. I really think firms notice when you've taken the time to understand them, and it makes your application and enthusiasm more authentic. Once you're in the role, being proactive doesn't stop. So make an effort to engage with students actively, whether it's through events, social media, or just one-to-one conversations. Responding promptly and clearly to questions really builds trust, and it shows both students and the firm that you take the role seriously. Don't be afraid to suggest ideas either, whether it's a new type of workshop or a different way of promoting opportunities, or even small tweaks of how things can be communicated. I think firms really value campus ambassadors who bring fresh perspective because you're the one closest to the student community. At the same time, I think it's really important to get your organizational and high management strategies in place early on. The role can involve juggling multiple responsibilities alongside your academics. So, learning how to prioritize tasks, set realistic deadlines, and break projects down into manageable steps would make everything more achievable. So, yeah, that would help you to avoid feeling overwhelmed when unexpected tasks come up.
Well, that makes sense. And I will say the first point you mentioned, doing the homework about the firm before applying is definitely essential. And it's very nice that you highlighted the point. And finally, as a last question, how do you feel this experience has prepared you for your future legal career?
It really has been a foundational experience for me. The role gave me the chance to build meaningful connections with students and professionals, and it pushed me to practice clear, effective communication in a way that felt authentic. At the same time, I had to manage multiple responsibilities under tight deadlines, so balancing my academic work with my campus ambassador tasks, which taught me how to stay organized and keep the quality of my work consistent even when things are busy and hectic. Beyond the practical skills, the role gave me confidence in representing a professional organization. So, for example, standing in front of peers at career fairs, hosting webinars, and even answering individual questions online, they all required me to step into a position of responsibility and trust. So, that experience showed me how important it is to be approachable, reliable, professional in every interaction. I also really valued the chance to contribute to the initiatives that had a real impact, whether it's helping students refine their applications, sharing insights about the firm, or supporting events that's connected students with practitioners. I could see the difference these efforts made. It wasn't just about completing tasks, but it's more about being part of something that helped others move forward in their careers, while also strengthening the firm's presence in the student community. I think looking back, I can see how directly these skills translate to a legal career. For example, building relationships, communicating clearly, and managing deadlines with confidence are all, part of daily practice in the legal field. So the campus ambassador role gave me a head start in developing those abilities, and I know they will be invaluable as I move on into my training contract and beyond.
Well, I would say I'm very happy of this experience to be very valuable to you and become a campus ambassador at Ravenscroft Schmierer was actually a good experience. So I would like to thank you. Thank you, Annette. And it's been a pleasure hearing about your experience and insight. And I'm sure that in the future, watching this will find you, Johnny, both inspiring and radical. Um, yeah.
Uh, Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today. I hope that these tips could help other students to explore this campus ambassador role. And I really appreciate the time for us to discuss on this thing today.
Perfect. Then I hope we can stay in touch and I wish you a good journey ahead.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.